I have been struggling, and I do mean struggling to get my body back ever since I turned 40, and especially ever since I got into this whole perimenopausal place in life. So real quick, hey friends, welcome back to my channel if you've been here before. If you are new here, my name is Labria Jones. I try to share content around things like personal development, productivity, travel, working while you travel, anything that relates to my journey to live a more fulfilled life. So that's the kind of stuff I share. If you're into that, hit that subscribe button. Today, I am just basically running my mouth. This is a couch conversation. I'm literally just running my mouth about some of the frustrations that I've had, some of the challenges that I've had, but also some of the conversations that I've had with healthcare providers and professionals on this fitness journey. So if you want to talk about that, that's what we talking about. Stick around. Let's do this. So first off, I feel like every time I get into a conversation with any woman over 40 about how fine we used to be, we start pulling up pictures. I was in Cabo Verde with a group of beautiful Black women. And we were on the beach talking about how we wasted our fine being young. We didn't even know how fine we were at the time. But now looking back, it's like, damn, that girl was fine. So we all start pulling up pictures. I used to be fine. And I think that's part of my problem. I was always very slim and muscular. So I was slim, curvy, and muscular for no reason. Growing up, I was naturally muscular and very slim. People used to call me He-Man. They used to call me He-Man because I was flat-chested. Jokes on them because them things came in. When they came in, okay? But they used to call me He-Man. And then when I got to high school, they called me Angela Bassett. Because if you remember What's Love Got to Do With It came out, and Angela was ripped, okay? And so finally, I got to be a chick because when I was younger, a woman being muscular wasn't really something that people sought after. I think Angela was on that early trend of making it attractive and desirable for a woman to be very muscular. So anyway, they called me He-Man for a while because your girl was flat-chested. But going into college, I was very curvy for a slender person and muscular. And I didn't have to do much to look like that. I just got to wake up like this. I did enjoy working out. I've always enjoyed working out, but I didn't work out with any consistency in my early 20s. When I got to my 30s, I realized I had to, put a little bit more effort in, And so I would work out a lot more regularly. But the difference between then and now is that I feel and I'm going to say I feel a lot throughout this conversation. Feelings aren't facts, right? And I'm basing this on just anecdotal things or things that I've noticed and just how I feel. It may not be factual. I feel like the return on effort was a lot higher in my 30s. I could work out for a couple of weeks and look like I ran track my whole life. I didn't have to be so intentional about what I eat. Don't get me wrong. I think I've always eaten decently healthy, and there's levels to decently healthy. We'll talk about that. But my history just has been if I work out, I get rewarded for it. My muscles show up. I slim down pretty quickly as long as I clean up my diet and eat out less and cook for myself. I have always been rewarded very quickly when I start putting in effort. And so drop me off in my 40s and everything changed. And it's tough to deal with. It is hard to become what feels like a whole new person. I'm walking around in a body I am unfamiliar with. And my best friend and I were having this conversation one day, and she was like, we should be used to it by now. It's been, X number of years. For me, it's been I want to say about 6 years. We were having this conversation a year ago. So at the time it was close to 5. It was just over 5 years that I've seen changes. And she was like, we should be used to it by now. First she said it was 10 years. And I was like, baby girl, it was not 10 years. I did not start gaining weight 10 years ago. I showed her a picture of how I looked 4.5 years ago, 5 years ago. And I was like, nah, this was me. I was still slim. Anyway, the things I pointed out were two things. One, I have a longer history of being a slim, muscular person with a high metabolism who gets a high return on effort. I've spent more of my life looking fit and being fit than I have dealing with the changes in my body. And so I am more used to that. Like I have so much more experience with that body than I do with this one. So it's different. It's very, very different. And I'm looking at it every day like, who are you? Who is this? Where did this come from? Where does little belly come from? Where did all this jiggle come from? Like who is it? Anyway, so it almost feels like you're trapped in someone else's body. And then the second thing is every year since I started gaining weight, I end up being the heaviest I've ever been. And so I'm constantly going through these cycles of self-rejection and then having to go back to self-acceptance, right? So let's say I gained 10 pounds and it's like, damn, this is the heaviest I've ever been. And then I go through the process of accepting myself at that extra 10 pounds. And then I gain another 10. Boom. Now I'm like, this is the heaviest I've ever been. So I go back through that whole cycle of rejection. And so it's super frustrating, right? And it makes you feel crazy. It's super frustrating. It makes you feel crazy to constantly be having to deal with this. So anyway, that's the history. That's basically my fitness history. Ever since I got into my 40s, I'd say around 39, 40 is when this started changing, when I started noticing changes. So earlier this year, I started working with a nutrition coach because I was like, there is something that I'm doing wrong. Because in my mind, I eat pretty healthy, right? In general, when I'm off my game, I'm eating fast food. I'm eating things that are rich in sauces. But when I'm cooking for myself, I'm cooking healthy food. I'm making healthy food at home. So something's got to give. Somebody's got to tell me. Somebody else needs to look at this and be like, here's what you're doing wrong. So I started working with a nutrition coach. We did 15 weeks. She is amazing. Let me first say that. She is amazing. I learned so much working with her. We did 15 weeks. And what she did was, her name is Coach Nitra. I don't remember her last name, but on Instagram, she is Nutrition with Nitra. I love her. I think she's amazing. Like, I want to be friends with her in real life. She's fantastic. And you're going to see why in just a moment, because I'm going to tell you about a conversation we had. But I learned so much working with her. One of the key things that I learned from her is healthy is relative. So I was telling her how I eat, the things that I eat, and how I believe I eat healthy. And she was like, well, healthy is a relative term, and it really just depends on what your goals are. She was like, yeah, you don't eat a lot of junk food, but your meals are probably high in fat. Let me give you an example. So I'm going to pop a picture of a salad up here on the screen. So you see this salad? I would say this is a healthy meal. It looks like a healthy meal. I would eat that as a healthy meal. Maybe not with the bacon, but I would eat this as a healthy meal. But now, having worked with Nitra, I understand that this meal would not be healthy for me because of the fat content. So her point is, healthy is a relative term, and it really just depends on your fitness goals and your body. Because of what I'm trying to get to, I need to eat a diet that's very low in fat and very high in protein, right? So having worked with Nitra, I can look at this meal and say, you know what, that's six fat sources. There's salmon in there. There's eggs in there. There's feta in there. It looks like a whole ass avocado. That's a lot of fat. Plus there's bacon, right? Bacon is definitely fatty. Salmon is a good healthy fish, but it also is fatty, right? It's one of the fattiest fishes. It's one of the fattiest fish you can eat. And then eggs, especially with the yolk, have fat in them. So 6 sources of fat in that. So this is how I was eating before I started working with Nitra. And I would say that this was a healthy meal, but I did learn that healthy is relative and it really just depends on your macros. And I'm not telling you to do the same thing. Like, you got to find out what works for you and your goals. But this is like the eye opener for me. So I started working with Nitra for 15 weeks. And during that 15 weeks, I think I was traveling twice a month. So I went to Rwanda, Chicago, Portugal, Atlanta, somewhere else, Cabo Verde. And I feel like that might be it. I might have gone one or two other places, but I was traveling. And so my concern was I would fall off of my eating and my nutrition while I was traveling. So I talked to her about this, and she was like, well, this is the other thing that I learned from her that was kind of a game changer. It was, stop trying to adjust your habits for your lifestyle, like for travel. Travel is not a specific event. She was like, stop trying to make adjustments for travel specifically, because travel is part of your life. Stop treating it like it's a special event or like it's an outlier. That is part of your lifestyle. You are a traveler. You travel at least once a month for the most part. So you can't have things that you turn off and on for special events when it's not a special event. You travel. Like, this is your life. So you've got to just develop habits that are portable and that are just part of your life, part of your everyday. And my big concern was, especially when I was going to Rwanda, I had a one-to-one with her before I went to Rwanda and was like, girl, in Africa, it's all heavy meats and sausage, which I love. Your girl loves a sauce, okay? And rice. And she was like, listen, don't overthink this. If you cannot control the ingredients, just control your portions. That was so freeing. Like, what? She just lifted like a huge weight off, because I was really worried, because I had been doing really, really well, sticking to the plan and sticking to my workouts and being consistent before I went to Rwanda. And I was like, I don't want to go to Rwanda and fall off. When I tell y'all I came back from Rwanda in the best shape I've been in years, like I felt amazing. I had slimmed down. I looked good. Like, your girl was on it. But then I got back from Rwanda and went to Chicago and lost my damn mind. I was drinking like crazy. I was still working out. I was still eating well, but I was drinking. And then there were a few times where I went to Chicago. The restaurants in Chicago are amazing. So went to a couple of restaurants and wowed the hell out in Chicago. So here's the thing. My pattern is that I'm at like 90%. I'm going to say I stick to my plans about 90%. And what I mean by that is I'm going to work out 5 days a week for at least 30 minutes. I'm going to hit my macros 6 days a week. The seventh day, Sunday, I usually either one day a week, either Saturday or Sunday, I will go to a restaurant, have some wine or have a mimosa or something like that. And then, just get whatever meal I want, right? That's like the one meal I'm going to have. And then Saturday and Sunday, I'm still eating well, but I'm not watching the macros, if that makes sense. So like, I'm going to have some whole grain protein pancakes and some eggs for breakfast. And I'm not going to track it or like necessarily watch the macros. Like, I'm not, Saturday and Sunday, I'm back to eating healthy, but not following the macros. So that's what I mean by 90%. Okay. So my pattern has been that I am at 90% for 4 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks. I be on it. Your girl be like making A+ on this whole fitness game. Right. And then I fall off for about a week to a week and a half. And by fall off, I mean like I go down to 75%, where I'll go to the gym 3 or 4 times a week in the week, and I'm going to eat some Chinese food. I'm not wilding out like crazy, because I don't eat fast food. I haven't eaten fast food all year. This whole year I have not had any fast food. I don't eat a lot of fried food, but I'll do something like I'm going to eat some ramen at night. I don't eat carbs. Like, my meal plan that I worked out with my nutrition coach is not to eat carbs after 4 o'clock. But when I fall off, I'm going to get a poke bowl for dinner. That's just what I'm doing. I'm going to get some lo mein for dinner. That's just what I'm doing. Right. And so my pattern has been, I'm at 90% for 4 weeks, 5 weeks. And then I'm at about a week to a week and a half, I go down to 75%. And my frustration has been that week and a half pretty much undoes everything that I did the 4 to 5 weeks before. And it's so frustrating, because it's like, do I have to be at 90% all the time? Why? Like, why can't I just chill sometimes. Like, it is exhausting being so intentional about what I eat all the time. It's exhausting being so intentional about my proportions when I go out to eat. It is just, and sometimes I just don't want to get out of bed to go to the gym. Like, why? Why do I have to work so hard is my frustration. Because again, I spent most of my life not having to work this hard. So it is super freaking frustrating. And I just feel like I shouldn't have to work this freaking hard, and I shouldn't have to be at 90% every damn week. You know what I mean? That's been the frustration. I'm getting upset again just talking about it. So here's what I did. So after the 15 weeks, I didn't hit the goals that I should have hit. And that has nothing to do with Coach Nitra and her coaching. It had everything to do with me not being fully consistent throughout that 15 weeks, falling off for a week and a half, right? Every 4 weeks. So after the 15 weeks, I was like, maybe, because I feel like I've been doing what I should be doing, right? I feel like a week to a week and a half of dropping down to 75% seems reasonable to me. I feel like this is reasonable. So there must be something else going on. Maybe I need hormone replacement therapy to help me and help my body, really respond to and react to the things that I'm doing, right? Or maybe I need to consider weight loss medication. Let me not say drugs. Maybe I should consider weight loss medication. So I went to go see a specialist to talk about weight loss medication a couple of weeks ago. And I also scheduled an appointment to talk about hormone replacement therapy, because perimenopause be perimenopausing, y'all. Like, it's crazy. The person that talked to me about weight loss drugs, weight loss medications, she told me I had a really good conversation, and it was a really good appointment. She basically just told me that I wouldn't necessarily have to be on it forever. I could, take it to get down just past whatever my goal weight or goal look is, and then come off of it and just make a buffer for, coming back on it. So listen, she was ready to schedule my first injection the next week. She was like, you ready to schedule I can schedule your next 3 injections. Slow down, ma'am. Slow down. I'm just looking at my options. I was like, I just want to go through my options. And I was talking to one of my friends who started Ozempic a couple of weeks ago, and asked her like how she was enjoying it, how it was going. It's going really well for her. It's going very well for her. She was like, yeah, I'm doing pretty well. I'm really enjoying it, but I'm also, working out and eating well and doing all those things. And I was like, yeah, I think it's something that I'm considering now. Before I was a hard no, but now I'm considering it because maybe my body just needs help. But I was like, I think I owe it to myself to do 10 full weeks of consistency, like relentless consistency, before I go make any other decisions. Because I want to focus on, like, is it me or is there something going on with my body, right? And so that's what I told her. Then I had this conversation with my nutrition coach. We had a one-to-one call, and I wasn't going to tell her about the weight loss medication consultation I had, but she's one of those people, like, you can tell her anything. She's very perceptive. She picks up on a lot of things, but also I love that she's not judgmental, right? No matter what you tell her, her feedback is going to be what the consequences and impacts are. It's never going to be, don't do that, that's cheating. Don't do that, that's silly. And hell no to that. She's always going to be like, well, that's something to consider, but here are the things, here are the impacts to that, and here are the consequences to that, and here's how you have to make adjustments. So I had a whole come to Jesus conversation. She snatched my edges a little bit, I'm gonna be honest. She did, for sure. Here's what she told me. So I told her about all this stuff. We talked about the last 15 weeks. We talked about my frustrations. We talked about my considering HRT and weight loss drugs. And we talked about how I strongly feel like I shouldn't have to be at 90% every freaking week. And she was like, let's address the fact that, number one, you are a healthy person, right? She was like, you could keep doing exactly what you're doing and not change anything. You could keep, being 90% for 4 weeks and going to 75% for 2 weeks. You are a healthy person, right? So I am very grateful that I'm healthy. Like, every time I do a blood test or a wellness check, All of my stuff comes back that I am healthy. The only thing that I am deficient in is vitamin D, but I do not have thyroid issues. I do not have, I'm not even close to being pre-diabetic. My kidneys and my liver, they're all great. And I've never had high blood pressure in my life. Like, I don't even know, you know how they take your blood pressure and they tell you what it is? I have no concept of what it is. I don't have no concept of like, is it high or is it low? Because I've never had high blood pressure in my life. So no one's had to talk to me about what are the reasonable ranges. So she was like, you could do what you're doing right now. She was like, there's nothing wrong with your body the way it is, right? That's really about acceptance. And she was like, and you are healthy. So you could keep doing what you're doing right now and call it a win and say that you are living a healthy lifestyle and you are taking good care of yourself. She was like, however, you have vanity goals. You want to look a certain way. You want a certain aesthetic. And so you out here saying, I shouldn't have to, doesn't match with that goal. She was like, you don't have to, but you're not going to get where you're trying to go if you don't. She was like, it requires consistency. It requires relentless consistency. It just does. And she was like, and I'm gonna talk to you about HRT and weight loss drugs, starting with HRT. She was like, the thing about HRT is it's not going to make you lose any weight. It will take care of some of the things that may be challenging for you. Like lack of sleep. It may help you with the lack of sleep. It may help you with energy and motivation and things like that. It will help with where your fat is distributed throughout your body, because that's something that changes in perimenopause. It can help with those things, but it won't itself help you lose weight. You still have to do the work. You still have to be at 90% every week consistently. Like, you've still got to be consistent even with HRT, because it is just helping all the things that you do be more effective. She said, now let's move on to the weight loss meds. She was like, here's the thing about the weight loss meds. It will get you where you need to be faster, but it also requires consistency, because it suppresses your appetite in such a way that you have to be damn sure that you eat enough of your nutrients and that you can hit your macros. Like, you have to be she was like, you actually have to work harder at eating well so that you get enough protein and you get enough carbs to fuel your body. You have to be super diligent about that, because it's suppressing your appetite, and you have to basically work against that to make sure you get enough protein in your body. Also, she was like, because you want to, again, look a certain way, and the weight loss meds cause you to lose weight so quickly, you have to make sure that you are still working out the way that you do, so that you can maintain, like, your skin not sagging, right? And you not losing the puffiness, or you're not using the volume in your face. So with weight loss drugs, you still have to be very consistent. In fact, you actually have to work harder to be consistent. It will get you to where you're trying to go faster, but there's no way around the consistency. Weight loss drugs, HRT, or none of that. There is no way around the consistency if you are trying to look a certain way. When I told you she snatched my edges, I wanted to, like, it was such a good conversation, but I was emotionally drained after the conversation. It was so good that I was emotionally drained, because she gave me the space to just, like, say everything that I needed to say. And then we just had a really good conversation about me having to be honest with myself about, either you don't want to have to work this hard, so we're going to accept who we are and where we are right now, or you really do want that look, so you're going to have to commit to being consistent. Those are your two options. And she was like, you need to let go of this idea of I shouldn't have to. You do, period. You do have to if you want XYZ. You don't have to do anything, actually. But you're not going to get where you want to go doing whatever you want. Like, that's just the rules. She was like, I ain't make the rules. That's just the rules. So it was a really good conversation, and I love her for having it with me. So that said, I am embarking on a 10 weeks consistency challenge that started, when did it start? It started last Monday. That would have been August 26th. So 10 weeks of being superbly consistent, just to see, like, where do things fall out? What kind of results am I seeing? And then after that 10 weeks, I will decide whether or not I'm going to pursue HRT or whether or not I would like to take on the option of weight loss medication, or if I just want to keep doing what I'm doing, right? And continue to make that whatever I'm doing over this 10 weeks just part of my lifestyle. I think I owe that to myself before I make any decisions to do anything else. And so let me tell you what that 10 weeks looks like. These are the boxes that I got to check throughout those 10 weeks. 1, hit my macros every day. And the goal is really to hit the macros Monday through Friday. Saturday, I am comfortable with eating generally, towards those macros, but I'm not tracking on Saturdays. I'm just not doing it. And then, okay, so eating to my macros, closing my exercise ring every day, at least 5 or 6 days a week, but I prefer to close it every day, even if that means like I'm doing yoga and stretching at the end of the week. You can do active rest. I can have an active rest day. So yeah, closing my exercise ring at least 5 or 6 times a week, doing an activity every day. Because one of the things that I learned from Nitra is that even though I go to the gym every day, because we live such sedentary lifestyles, it makes it harder for us to lose weight or to stay fit because we're not very active. Like I think I do like 4,000 steps a day, which is kind of crazy. So I just go for a walk every day in the afternoon so I can get to 10,000. So getting to 10,000 steps every day. And then taking vitamin D. I am vitamin D deficient, and vitamin D actually exacerbates weight gain. Getting 7 hours of sleep every night. Lack of sleep exacerbates weight gain as well. So that's something I'm also doing. And I think that's it. I think those are the things. So, and it seems reasonable. I can do that for 10 weeks. So that's what I'm doing for 10 weeks. I'd love for you guys to follow along. But, at the end of the day, I am a healthy person and I am very grateful that I'm healthy. Health is a big deal, especially at this age. And I know there are people who struggle with high blood pressure and struggle with, low blood sugar or high blood sugar or hypothyroidism and all kinds of things. And so I'm just over here complaining about the fact that I don't look like I did when I was 35. So I am very grateful for that. I will tell you that a few of the people that were in my cohort with Coach Nitra were also folks that suffered from things like high blood pressure. And one of the women was able to come off of her high blood pressure medicine during the 15 weeks that we worked together. So if you struggle with some of those things and that's something that you want to address, definitely reach out to Coach Nitra and see if you can work with her. She specializes in women who are dealing with perimenopause and menopause. So all that to say, again, I'm healthy and I'm very grateful for being healthy. And I do not think there's anything wrong with my body. I think, multiple things can be true at once. I think I look good. I think I look good. And I want to look even better. And honestly, I think that when you get in that space, it makes it easier to push forward towards the goal. When you hate your body and you don't dress it well, you don't take care of it, and you don't present yourself, for me, it was a spiral. Like when I didn't like the way I looked, when I went through that period where like my self-esteem was super low, it was so much harder for me to really work out and to really eat well and stuff and push towards the goal. It's been so much easier ever since I'm like, your girl is still cute. But all that to say, I am looking forward to this 10 weeks of consistency. I've done it before. I can do it again. And there's just no way around the work. There just isn't. Everything that we want, we for the most part, we have to work for, right? So no way around the work. That said, like I said, to help me be consistent, I'm going to vlog about this whole 10 weeks and my progress so you can follow along. I will be posting vlogs every week for 10 weeks right here. I'm going to focus on a different key topic every week. I'm going to try to make it, part vlog, but part informational, I guess. maybe. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, follow along, subscribe, turn on alerts so that you get notified when I post the next one. And I hope you're rooting for me. I am rooting for me. I am also rooting for you. And I will see you in the next video.